Hi, I'm Phil Palucha from Billionaires in Boxers, and you are about to engage with Up Level Your Communication, hosted by Miluna. Wow, this is going to be powerful. Communication is at the heart of everything that is good about business and about sharing with your fellow humans, and Miluna is phenomenal at helping you share that message and also interview some pretty special and amazing guests too. Check it out right now.
Welcome to Up Level Your Communication. I'm your host, Dr. Miluna Bausch. Listen to the music of your soul. Your voice matters, and on this show, expert guests will talk about the voice and intentional, enlightened communication, because this is how you will influence and impact the world. Welcome to Up Level Your Communication. You are in for a treat today. My guest is California born and bred. She was mentored by and worked with Steve Jobs. I know. She also advised both Prince and Michael Jackson. Now, she's very humble, and I'm sharing this with you not to impress you, but I'm saying this to impress upon you that she has helped visionaries navigate successful career paths. She's also an author. She is a trusted advisor and confidant, and she is joining us today from the heart of Silicon Valley. So, Kelli Richards, it's so good to see you again. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Miluna, for having me.
It's my pleasure. Let's start with your childhood in Cupertino, California. I think the water must have been good. There were early innovators coming from there. Tell us a bit about your childhood and how that colors what you do today.
Well, I think that it was sort of a Forrest Gump situation in that, I just happened to come into this environment at the right time. Innovation was being birthed all around me. The future was being generated right before my eyes. Possibilities were limitless, limited only by our imaginations. We could see the magic being created. Apple literally was like the Wonka factory in my backyard. Willy Wonka. And so, it was just, we couldn't see exactly where it was all going, of course, but we knew that it was the right place and the right time. Interestingly, I'm reading a book right now. It's the autobiography of John Chu, who's the director of Crazy Rich Asians and Wicked and others. And he is from a family that I grew up eating at their restaurant with my family. It's a famous Chinese place here in Silicon Valley called, and John is the youngest child of that family. And so as I'm reading his book, he's describing the very same thing I just did. We just happened to grow up with all these visionaries around us that were just bright, shaping the future and shaping our futures right along with it. So that's what it was like.
I love it.
But it was all...
Richards is my favorite Chinese restaurant there. And I remember at the Lunar New Year, lined around the block for us to get in and celebrate. Yes?
Yeah.
He's an amazing director, isn't he? And what a family, as you said. I wish I was there at that time. It was amazing. Must have been just amazing.
Yeah, but the funny part, it was all orchards. All orchards. That's what it had been for the decades prior. And so technology completely reshaped the whole area. Now, if you go looking for an orchard, I know where the last 4 or 5 are in the whole valley. They're all...
It's so different. By the time I got there, it was so different. You've seen the growth.
Yeah.
If there's one message that you want to share to our global audience today that needs to be heard right now, what is that?
Well, I think sort of known as a catalyst for transformation for the people I serve and co-create with. And I think people need to believe more in themselves. And if they don't, they need to find people who do, who can see possibilities in them and for them and help them chart a path to get to where they say they want to go, even if they don't know what that is at the beginning. They don't have to do it alone. A lot of people are overlooked, misunderstood in their genius, and they just need someone to pull it out of them and show it to themselves like Steve did for me.
How beautiful. How beautiful. We need to believe in ourselves more and surround ourselves, as Kelli has said, with those who do until we do, perhaps.
Pretty much.
Oh, music to my ears. Now, I call myself a voice, speaking, and presence coach. And I have found that so many people truly do not know how or are unable to stay present. You wrote a beautiful article about cultivating presence. Why is this so very important to our success and fulfillment and relationships that are going to take us somewhere?
Well, I think the art of being present is sorely lacking. We live in an environment, in a world we're distracted all the time by devices, by news, by noise in all directions. And if our thoughts and our ideas are constantly drowned out, we will lose touch with ourselves. And when we lose touch with ourselves, we aren't obviously connected to the people around us. So if you really want to have meaningful relationships in work and in life, it's critical to be present in those moments, in those conversations, in order to really foster, long-term trusted relationships.
Wow. Wow. I think and believe we're called to greatness. Why do so many of us not answer the call?
I think it's because a lot of people are either beaten down when they're young, their beliefs are shaped by their families, much of which isn't true about them, but they've never done the work to unwind those beliefs. They haven't had the luck, maybe, or the presence of mind to go get support to find out who they really are. Some people only find that out late in life if they ever do. So it's not necessarily your fault if you have that situation, but if you're restless and feeling like you're not moving forward, or you're stuck, or you're playing too small in life, or you keep having failures in relationship and work, it might do you good to find someone who can help you unravel all of that and show you the true beauty and genius that lies within you, that where your truth really resides, not the beliefs you've lived with, most of which aren't true.
Beautiful. I can take a breath. I know the audience does too. I think we owe it to, not a great word, but don't we owe it to ourselves to find out and be great? Follow your dreams?
Everybody has genius within them. However it comes out, however it gets translated. I firmly believe that. And many people just don't know what their real innate gifts and talents are because no one's ever shown them or told them, and they haven't found it for themselves. If they have found it, maybe it got drowned out saying, no, you can't make a living doing that. So instead of being, an artist, so you can make a living and care for your family, wanted to be an accountant, and it just squashed their soul. So years later, we have to go back and unwind all that and give them permission even to go follow their own path and their passions, even if it's later in life.
It's never too late, is it?
Nope. I mean,
oh, thank you. I'm so glad. I still have some big dreams.
Julia Child didn't start cooking until she was in her 50s. There are plenty of examples of people that didn't come to their calling till later in life. So it's never too late. And even the artists that have made it in one field, let's say, I'll just pull somebody out of a hat, Paul Stanley of Kiss or Paul McCartney. Both of them are known to be great songwriters and musicians, but they're also very talented painters, each one of them. Both of them also talented chefs. They cook. They have they're multi-hyphenates. They're multifaceted in their talents, but maybe they just made a living through one of them, or they're known for one of them. So even the geniuses have other talents.
Over the weekend, my husband and I went to see Becoming Led Zeppelin. Now, this was not my career past. My big old Chevy, and there I was with 8-track tapes. Now, some of the audience is not going to know what I'm talking about, perhaps. But I had Led Zeppelin and Earth, Wind, and Fire in Kansas and Chicago and Journey. These folks were musicians.
Yes.
I was struck. I knew a fair amount, I thought, about Led Zeppelin, but I had no idea what astute businessmen they were and how they insisted on, they financed their first album. They wanted total control. They would not release singles. They said, we're an album band.
Right.
They practiced every day, of course. They played music all the time. They had a focus on Atlantic Records. They knew that was the perfect record company. They knew they needed to start here and not in England. It was astonishing. It was such a great movie. If anybody's a fan of Led Zeppelin, get out there and see that film.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, Steve Jobs was your mentor, which I love that you asked him to be your mentor. And then you worked together. Now, he continues to be admired. Talk about a visionary.
Right.
Would you share a bit, since he's passed, and I know you're completely respectful of your relationship, would you share a little, what was it like to work closely with him?
Okay, to be clear, Miluna, we didn't have the chance to work together very much at all, because most of the time he was not at Apple. I started working with him when he was at Apple, but I was only 16. Then he was kicked out of the company. And when I started there, he was out. He was at Next and running Pixar. And but we relationship the entire time. And all the way through, when he came back to Apple, all the way until about a year before his death. But when he came back, the company was literally on the ropes. They were 1/4 away from dying, running out of money. Shocking as that is to think about 28 years ago. And Steve said, I've got good news and bad news to me. He said, the good news is I'm coming back. The bad news is you're leaving. Because he had to get the company healthy again. My baby was the music and entertainment focus that I had birthed for the company. And Steve wasn't going to focus on that for a while, if ever. He just pared the company down to a handful of products, a few core markets, and that was it until he could get everything shored up. So iTunes was not born for 5 years after that. So he said to me, go a mile down the road, start your consulting practice with all the for many, 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 especially music and entertainment, because I was the point person for the company. And go start your practice, and I'll call you when I need you, when it's time to focus on this again. And I did advise him 5 years later on the launch of iTunes. So that's the story of the reality of that working relationship. There really wasn't much of one.
That's beautiful. As you said at the beginning, right timing is key. Right. Wow. Would you define both success and failure and help us understand what they mean for us to manifest our dreams maybe easier and with more grace? If we just understand.
Well, first of all, failure is the best teacher of all. If you are willing to lean into failures and not be afraid of them, and you're willing to take lessons from them that you're willing to apply, it turns out that failure is almost a prerequisite for success for the long term. Now, success is harder to define because it's defined by individuals with their own lenses. And I like to tell my clients to redefine success on their own terms. What does it really mean? Is it about having a certain number of zeros in your bank account? Is it the acclaim and applause you get from other people? Is it having a rich family life and a great relationship? All of the above, one of the above? it's really in the eye of the beholder is what success is.
Thank you. You wrote about the benefits of having a garden sanctuary for visionary innovators and leaders. So I may be asking this for myself, but there's going to be some folks that resonate with me as well on this, a whole bunch probably. How can we sensitive, creative folks be soothed and more authentic and successful by building a garden?
Well, a couple of things. One is we need to calm our nervous systems down. They're always overstimulated, and they get in the way in so many ways. Internally with our health, with our thoughts, it's a problem. Stress is probably the single biggest challenge we have. So being in nature helps bring up the parasympathetic and calms us down. Whether you're out walking in the fresh air, whether you're walking through a forest, by the ocean, or whether you're just in your own private little sanctuary where you might have a few potted plants, some birds and butterflies, a couple of pretty trees, a rose bush or two, an herb garden, whatever your space will allow and your imagination will permit. Just by being in those environments, we automatically calm ourselves down. And when we do that, our creativity is unleashed. We can come up with solutions to problems. We come up with fresh ideas and possibilities because we're meant to be attuned to nature.
So gorgeous. Thank you. Now, here in the United States, we have a saying, they can't see the forest for the trees, meaning that we don't always see our next step or the way clear to what we want. How can a trusted advisor like you or a coach change all of this, I think, much more quickly?
Well, I think one of the biggest roles that we play in this role is that of serving as a mirror. We can show things about themselves they can't see or have overlooked. We have I'll speak for myself. I have multiple lenses available at my disposal, where based on what I've heard and experienced of the person, what they've told me about their story, how they speak, their presence, their enthusiasm level or lack thereof, their energy or lack thereof, all the things, their self-talk, and of course, how they, where they, that allows me to sort of paint a picture in my own mind, almost like an AI bot would do, but in a much more powerful, multidimensional way. And synthesize what I'm experiencing of that person. And then not only play it back to them, where they don't see themselves the way I see them, but also play back possibilities for them that I have heard and could imagine that they cannot see for themselves, because we're all too close to ourselves to see possibilities at times. That's the power of having the coaching and the advisory strategy feedback.
Fantastic. What is the most amazing transformation you helped a client achieve? And why do you think that is?
I don't love the word amazing. It's too broad and ambiguous. And again, how somebody receives transformation is very unique to them. Just somebody being in the wrong job and me sort of giving them permission to move on, has breathed life into some of the clients that have done that. That they just didn't think they'd be okay if they left the confines of the golden cage. And they found out that they were happier than ever when they found their wings on the other side. But they might never have taken the leap without the support of a trusted advisor.
Yes. I believe our voice and the way we speak is part of our branding and our presentation, much more than people think. Talk to us about how you view effective communication.
Well, I think effective communication is communication that's two ways, bidirectional. It's being willing to really listen to people by being present, by listening through what their lens is and not our own to the best of our ability. Where are they coming from? And then likewise, communicating in a way we feel understood and that people get us and want to support us. That's the essence of powerful communication, given and received with intention.
On your LinkedIn profile, I love what it says. I work on cool things with cool people. So tell us more. There may be a special type of person you're looking to work with next that just lights up your heart as well.
Yeah, I've always both sought and been privileged to be referred to working with people that have a growth mindset, that have already had a certain level of success or aspired to, willing to work hard for their success. People that are maybe founders or innovators, entrepreneurs, leaders of big companies or medium, small companies, all sizes, but they're growth oriented, as well as creatives in Hollywood, musicians, filmmakers, media executives, people, and are all about telling stories and uplifting people around them through their storytelling. So that combination of people, it defines me as well. I have been effectively in all of those camps. So I'm very comfortable with people in those arenas. I also work with family office members, people who are privileged to have inherited a great deal of wealth, but the next generation is looking for guidance on how to align what's at their disposal with their values and their individual direction moving forward, even if it differs from their parents or grandparents, which is how they made their money.
Wow. Love it. And before we share your contact information, is there anything else you want to share or anything I have not asked you that you'd like to speak about?
Well, there's all kinds of things we could talk about, Miluna. You've done a great job picking a few key threads here. I think one of them is just to say that I believe in the power of having a powerful coach, a trusted advisor, whatever your profession is. No athlete worth his salt would go out there as a professional without a coach. Likewise, anybody in business for themselves or working with others or in the creative world can benefit from having someone by their side as a thought partner and a confidant, and someone who's going to be provocative and push them out of their comfort zone and help them to grow into their true genius. So I'm a big believer in that, not just necessarily tooting my own horn, but for people to work with folks like myself for all those reasons.
That's so beautiful. I think people underestimate coaching. As you said, I say similar things. Olympians got there with coaches. Before celebrities are on the Grammys, they're working with their voice coaches. And someone once said, well, they don't need it anymore. And I said, no, it's the other way. It's because they do that, they stay on top of their game, vocally healthy. I still have my voice coach in LA. I'll have her forever. She knows more about the voice than probably the 30 teachers I went to before her. So thank you. All really successful people, whether they share it publicly or not, I think they have coaches, don't you?
Or mentors or guides or whatever label you want to stick on it. Somebody who's by their side, who's opening doors and opening their mind around possibilities.
Because I think it's lonely. I find myself lonely a lot. Don't we need people?
You might have noticed at the top of my website, Miluna, it says it's lonely at the top, but it doesn't need to be. Because a lot of my clients have been very lonely despite appearances about their wealth and success.
Yes.
Who can they tell when they've got a $300,000 tax bill? Who would be able to relate to that? Who can they talk to when they can't trust their spouse? So these people need help as much or more than anybody else.
Wow, what a great point. Now, how would you like folks to reach out to? You are available for conversations. You're available. Kelli's website has case studies and resources and amazing articles. It's a fantastic website. Would you share that and also spell your name for us, please?
Certainly, Miluna. It's simply my name, KelliRichards.com. Kelli, Kelli, Richards, RICHARDS.com. And then there's a services tab that's the heart of the whole site, where you go to figure out whether we'd be a good match and how I actually work with my clients to co-create the magic and the alchemy that we do together.
Yay! Folks, you heard it here first. KelliRichards.com. She is here to serve as a trusted confidant and advisor. She knows these industries. She has amazing connections. Thank you so much for being present and just cheering us on to get support, believe in our greatness, and get busy doing it, being who we really are, yes?
Yeah.
To our audience, thank you so much for being here with myself and Kelli today. We know you've been touched. We know you're inspired. Don't let that dream inside of you it's not a great way to say it, but incubate that dream. Get some support. See what you really want to do. Kelli gave you permission to quit that job you hate. I was in corporate. I didn't do well in corporate. You have to know that about yourself to move into a different place of success and happiness. We're so glad you were here, and don't forget to stay tuned for the next episode of Uplevel Your Communication. We'll say bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to our show. If you'd like to have a conversation about how developing your communication and presence skills will connect you to opportunities, impact, income, and fulfillment, let's talk about your future. Go to milunafausch.com and book a conversation with me. You can also find out more about my Forbes book and our podcast music, Strong Body.
Thank you for enjoying this content by Billionaires in Boxes. If you would like to be a guest or a host, be sure to get in contact with us at billionairesinboxes.com.